Alright guys, what is up? Welcome back to Avorion with LD7. So, basically right after we ended the last episode, I warped over a sector to try to find some titanium, and I met this adventure dude. This is basically the start of the story. He's gonna go through and blah blah blah. You can ask him, he'll give you tips if you want. That's fine. We're just gonna go through this. That way, I mean, if you're playing the game, I would suggest reading this. It'll explain what you're getting. But you get a radar upgrade, and we're gonna say bye. I don't care. Alright, so now that we've got a system, let's go ahead and show you. I don't need this tip. It'll guide you through. So if we go under systems, you'll see that we've got this radar upgrade now. If we drag it in here, it's gonna give us 2 scan range. Or +2 deep scan range. So basically what that does is it will locate sectors on the map that aren't, populated by stations or warp gates or whatever. So yeah, that's a pretty good upgrade. Our iron ship doesn't have enough power capacity to be able to use that upgrade. So we need to get to titanium in order to build a better power system. But I just wanted to show you that's what happens when you first warp a sector. So the way you warp is you push the M key and it'll give you this map. So this is the star map. Your goal is to get to 0, 0 right in here where that question or exclamation point is. That's where the final boss is. About here-ish there will be the barrier, so to get past the barrier you have to do the first step in progression. To get here you have to do the second step. Anyway, we are up here. We don't have a lot of range. This blue circle is how far you can go, and you can warp it to any of these that you want. It doesn't really matter. You're looking for these little flashing circles. If they're green, that means that there's some sort of faction inside of them. So there may be a space station, there may just be mining ships, there may be just a warp gate. It kind of depends on the sector, but you can go ahead and jump into these, and they're usually fairly safe. If we equipped the radar, you would be able to see some yellow spots as well. You can jump to those. They're more likely to have asteroids that are claimable, as well as sometimes they'll have like smuggler outposts, which are useful if you're gonna start pirating yourself to get some extra cash, or what have you. But yeah, so once you pick your spot, you right click on it and enter coordinates into navigation computer, and that will start calculating the route. You won't actually be able to jump until you get the message on the left that says jump route calculated. And then if you see at the top there's that purple bar, 154, 5% effective. That is our hyper warp recharge rate. So since our ship has really bad power generation, since there's no generator on it, that takes a long time to recharge. I was hoping there'd be some titanium in here in this system so we could add some generator, but we did find like a tiny bit. Maybe we can build one. So we want to build a generator. This increases how much power your ship makes. Containers is how much it stores at one time. We'll talk about the field generator once we get there. The integrity field generator basically protects your hull and makes it less likely to break when you run into things if you're playing with collision. It also increases your hull strength overall, so it's a good thing to add. So you get coverage on all the blocks. We're going to start with the generator though. That's the most important at this point. These are first unlocked with titanium, so that's why we are building them out of that. You can't actually build them with iron. So we've got 120. So if we put on this little slab, I mean, that's all we could build. It increased it a little bit, but since the core basically takes our power usage up to 1.5 gigawatts, and we're only making about 700 megawatts, so yeah, we're not doing enough. That's why we're only 24% effective. If we actually had the generation to cover all the power requirement right now, that would say 100% effective, but there'd still be a timer. Anyway, once this finishes off, we're just gonna jump. It doesn't really matter. But once we get into this sector, hopefully there is some titanium, because that is what we are looking for. Scrap sector. I mean, that's kind of cool, because these are good. Like, if you want to salvage is another option to get your resources. Basically what you do is you gather up destroyed ships that are floating around here with salvaging lasers. We don't actually have any, but we'll get them eventually. And you will get whatever the blocks are made out of in resources. Sometimes you get systems, turrets, so salvaging is actually pretty good to do early game, just so you can build up the resources you have available for construction. To actually do it in a sector like this, you have to go into this scrapyard and buy a license. It costs some credits, so you're going to need some money before you can actually start salvaging in one of these types of sectors. But yeah, that's another option. So it's going to take us 2 jumps to get anywhere. But I think I'm going to go this direction, because if I get here, there will probably be a warp gate. So these blue lines are warp gates, so they connect systems. It costs a little bit of credits to use them that you pay to the faction that controls it, but it doesn't actually use your warp drive, so you don't have to worry about sitting here for a couple minutes to recharge your battery, basically, before you can go again. So we're gonna go this way and try to get over to that sector. Maybe there will be titanium there. There's probably not. We're going the wrong direction. The resources get better when you start heading towards the center of the galaxy. The farther away you get from the center, the worse the resource quality is going to be. So that's a little tip for you. As far as the resource qualities are concerned, you've got iron is the lowest, titanium's 2, neonite's 3, trinium's 4, xanion's 5, ogonite's 6, and avorion 7. You can only get ogonite and avorion past the barrier, so we won't get these for a while. Xanion is pretty close to the barrier. Trinium is pretty close to Xanion. Neonite is, it's like halfway between titanium and trinium, and then iron titanium are pretty close to each other. So we're gonna see if we can't find some titanium and some neonite. Once we get to neonite, that unlocks shield generators, which would be nice. So yeah, we'll take a look at that as well. But our warp drive is almost charged, so we'll go ahead and get that done. And every time you warp or travel between sectors, it has to load, so you get that nice loading screen. If you're in an empty sector like this, your hyperwarp actually recharges faster. So you can see 27 seconds as opposed to the other one. It's this little green warp boost. You're flying through clear space. Hyperspace recharge is increased. So that's nice. It'll make jumping to this system a lot faster. So we can hopefully get there by the end of the video. Anyway, guys, once you find some titanium, I mean, first priority is going to be increase your power storage and get integrity field generators. Once you do that, the rest of the shipbuilding is kind of up to you. The more thrusters you add, the faster it goes. Or not, well, the more thrusters you add, the more maneuverable it is, rather, and the more engines you add, the faster it goes. So you can increase things that way. If you change the hull to titanium, it will have more hit points than iron, and it will be lighter as well. So both of those are good things. This is a claimable. Is there a claimable right there? Kind of looks like it. It's not always the easiest to tell when you're zoomed in like this, so sometimes it's better to fly in. Ooh, turret factory. Cool. I just want to see what they got. You can build turrets in here, so that's kind of nice. We're pretty far out, so I mean they're only iron level, but that might be useful when we're ready to upgrade our turret system. But we're just gonna fly over this way a little bit and see. I mean, it doesn't really look like there's any resources, is the thing. Okay, well, maybe we'll fly to a different system. So this one has a warp lane here and here. We're probably going to go back here. So Bash Interfere Gamma, we are looking for that warp gate. It's probably this one. Yep. So these are the warp gates I was talking about. If you fly through it, your ship will instantly teleport to the other system at the price of 79 credits for this one. They vary, but that is about all the time we've got for this one. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe as always, and until next time, this has been LD7, and we will see ya.